believe this, but I'm going to tell you, and it's every bit true. God's ways are higher than your ways. You know, when I was a little girl, my dad did a very long time in many maximum security prisons. And I remember calling the hotline and seeing if he had the opportunity to get out because I was scared of him. And then one day I found myself in legislation as a journalist helping to pass laws for more notice for calls like that, because I was always afraid we'd never be able to get away in time. When I got older, I started writing for the Salvation Army's war cry. We circulated 2 million copies every 2 weeks, which is a very large magazine. But it wasn't a magazine that I read. I just knew that I was a columnist, and I knew that it was fun, and I got to pick what we wrote about. That was nice. It took 12 years of writing there to finally get a box in the mail from my editor, and his name was Major Ed. It always reminded me of Ed the talking horse on that show. And he said, "Brooke, I feel like it's time to give you something. Trust me." Well, I didn't. He sends me something in the mail, and usually it was just contracts, or if he wrote a new book, or I wrote a new book. And when I opened it up, it was a box of letters from maximum security prisons. And when I opened it up, I remember that he checked on me, and he texted me, and he said, "Brooke, listen." He was like, "I wouldn't be sending you this if I didn't think that you were ready." He said, "Did you not know all these years that we circulated in every prison?" Nope, didn't know that, Ed. I didn't. And as I sat there and I read these letters, I remember I was a little triggered because I saw the inmate numbers, and I remember seeing my father's ID. I can still tell it to you to this day. But the more I read, the more it talked about how they would cut that devotional out and save it, and how they would read it, or how the things inside that magazine had helped them find God, or how their story reminded them of their daughters, and how it made them think that maybe they didn't mess them up. Different reaction than I thought I would have. Years later, I started going into maximum security prisons and preaching. I started going into spaces. I started preferring working with people like this. And the Lord shifted my whole heart. And by the time I had got to that space, I was working in a recovery church. Didn't know it was going to be that, turned into that. And not only was I getting to serve the children who felt the way that I used to feel, but I was working with the families, so I understood the way that the parents felt, and I could see that they felt bad for what they'd put their children through, that they were trying to do better. And I could also see the pain on the children, but the pride when the families tried to do better. It's like a full circle space. And today, at the age of 40, I look back, and if you were to ask me if I wanted to go into the most polished space, where every name was like spotless, or if I wanted to go into the spaces where I had to pass through about 3 different metal detectors, I would choose the latter. So maybe your story feels like God is punishing you. Can I challenge you to say that God trusts you to learn a story that you're going to be able to go out and help so many people because of what you've been through? Not because he wanted to hurt you, not because he caused it, but because there was something within you that needed just enough crushing for that oil to get out so that you could help millions of people and not just yourself. Because if you would have ran from it, you could just keep running forever. But if you faced it head on, the devil's worst nightmare is that you turn around and you look at everything you've been through and you walk into the future with the knowledge that you gained back there, and you heal and you make a difference in the spaces that once broke you, that you bring a wholeness to the spaces that other people are broken. And I believe that if you're seeing this, your portion is joy and your portion is wholeness, but maybe back there you had to go through a lot. I want to encourage you to not be afraid of the situations that the Lord puts in your path, because you're blessed and highly favored. And if that's true, then you're going to bless so many people because of it, even if you have a little bit of a Joseph story. God is going to use your deepest pain to be somebody's biggest blessing. And along the way, somewhere in there, you're going to find that you're blessed by going back and healing the spaces that sought to tear you apart. And I hope that that finds you exactly where you are today. Stop being afraid of what the Lord asks you to do and just walk out in faith. Because when you do, the mountains are going to move. And when you do, the devil's going to get out of your ear when you finally do it. So don't be afraid. Walk into everything, because fear is not your portion. To change things is. And I truly believe that God takes the Jaels and the Deborahs and the people that had to fight for their life, and he uses them to come out swinging, but not in their own strength. To come out swinging, and people think that you're going to be all kinds of angry about it. But instead, somehow the tragedy become beautiful. And that makes other people think that their tragedy could become beautiful too. You're a lover, not a fighter, even though you've been a fighter your whole life. Because now the Lord fights your battles. And you know that. So you can go into all of this boldly, knowing that he has your back every step of the way. Even if at first it's a little scary.